I thought I'd challenge you to a holmgang.
Hey, everybody. So I got to say something here because I never get to say it. I'm just going to do it. And here it is. The following live stream may contain adult language and abundance of salt. So buckle up, nerds. It's time for the Saturday morning home gang. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, Matthew Kadish, our frustrated producer, man of many things, the man behind the show. How are you today?
I'm good. I think Alex needs to worry for his job.
Yeah, I don't think he does. That was terrible.
You got your sights set on the hosting duties.
Oh, good. Oh, Danny, the Dork Knight LV. How are you?
Man.
You're here.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Dude, that masterpiece of a whisker growth on your face for 34 days is incredible.
Yeah.
I have to admit. You need to let it. You need to keep it.
Now
you need to bring the ZZ Top back.
I would if it weren't for all this white. Like if I still looked like I did in the picture back there, like it was still all brown.
Well, it's like 6 months at the rate you're going.
I'd probably do it. Yeah, it only took to get that ZZ Top link last time. It only took like a year.
Yeah.
Because it felt like for the longest time. Yeah, Joker. Well, I don't know. If I don't shave this thing off soon, my girl's gonna leave me. So,
that's a big reason why I trimmed mine up.
Yeah, a big thing this last week was Vader trimmed his massive beard that he was growing, and we all got very upset. We were like, "What? How could you do that to us?"
I'm taking your
we felt
presents back.
betrayed. Yeah. You want to tell everyone why you decided to chop it off?
Honestly, it's not really that fun of a story. I think I just needed a change. I was mentally having some issues, and my wife was also very tired of it. So I said, okay, let's start over. Maybe I'll trim it up a little bit different this time, and it's growing back. I'm gonna let it come back. But you know what? Hey, before we get going too much, I got some shop talk I need to do. First off, I want to say thank you to Lunar Girl and Joker Voice in the chat. They have been promoted to chat mods for our Salty Nerd streams. Thank you guys for accepting those invitations to do that. It's not really a huge deal right now, but someday we might have enough people in there to where we might have some issues. I know there's been some weirdos that have come into like Alex's stream and stuff, and it's just I wanted a couple more wrenches in there, and I think Lunar and Joker are good people to do that for us because they come to all of our chats. So thank you guys for doing that for us. Also, not part of the Salty Nerd podcast, but a very good friend of the show. We all know Drunk 3PO, and I just wanted to send a shout out there to him today for hitting 50,000 subs. He hit that sub mark this morning. That is a big deal. 50,000 subs is a lot.
Right on.
Maybe someday
that's 50,000 more than me.
I know. Yeah, and it's 47,000 more than us, which is it's just an incredible.
It all comes down to sex appeal.
I know, right? His growth has been awesome, and I remember I was on Drunk's very first live stream where he was trying to figure out how to use YouTube and StreamYards. It was actually really funny. So massive congratulations to Drunk 3PO Jay. Appreciate that guy. He's awesome. Let's do some really quick business here. Guys, we're doing a December special on our Salty Nerd podcast Patreon. We have a hat that we're giving away. Well, we're not really giving it away, but it's for the $30 tier. If you join our $30 tier for the month of December, we will send you this very special limited edition Salty Nerd hat that only those people are going to get. It's limited to 50 people. And once we get that all set up, the hats will be made and we will send them to you. It's going to be really fun. And I hope you guys all want to get one of those. It also comes with a certificate of authenticity or something, right, Matt? Is that right?
Well, it's an award certificate for the people who are superstars in our members area. So you'll officially get like a superstar certificate to commemorate your joining of our upper tier club. And also you get access to a special Discord area just for those members where you guys can talk about stuff amongst yourselves and be all
Right
snooty
on.
and elitist.
Yeah, you'd be all elitist with your fancy hats. Also, we are on the podcast. We are striving to get accredited as actual movie critics and reviewers for Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So what we need from you guys is 5-star reviews on Apple to get that done. We need 200 reviews. We're about 1/4 of the way there, getting there. We're pushing close to 50. So if you should feel so compelled, please go check that out and leave us a review for the show. I know it's a great show that I like doing, and I can only sign up on so many different burner email accounts to write reviews. So
yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes needs like a long list of requirements to consider you a professional movie critic, and we meet all those requirements except one, which is we need to have 200 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So the more you guys can ask people to leave us reviews and support the show that way, the closer we get to getting accredited by Rotten Tomatoes. And once we are officially movie critics, we can then use that to get like early access to TV shows and movies, so that we can have our reviews ready quicker and all that good stuff. So
yes,
help us out a lot.
And I got one more thing I want to just throw out there. Matthew took some time out of his week this week, on top of all the other crap that he does for us and doesn't get paid for, and he completely redesigned our website over at saltynerd.com. And that if you want to know anything about us or watch our shows on audio or video feeds, it's all there. And it's all there. Matt, thanks for doing that. And it automatically updates when we upload new stuff, right? So there's no more getting behind.
So every time we put up a new video on YouTube, or we put out a new podcast on the podcasting platforms, a new page is automatically created on our website. So you can find all of our back videos there. We're going to be grouping them together by categories, so it makes it easier to search for stuff and to find our playlists and all this other stuff. So basically if you just want an easier way to view our content, the website is definitely the place to check it out. And I'm going to be writing a bunch of blog articles on there, so there'll be stuff that you can go on there and read. And we're also going to, we also have the newsletter sign up on there as well. So if you guys want to sign up for our newsletter, we are doing a special private podcast feed just for newsletter subscribers, where we do deeper dives into some of the movies we talk about. Like, for instance, I'm recording a RoboCop episode to kind of go along with the RoboCop episode that we're going to be dropping next Friday. And it's going to kind of go into the making of RoboCop and a lot of nerdy fun fact behind the scenes stuff. That's what that feed's going to be for, because that's the thing that they're letting me do on my own. So, yeah. So if you want to sign up for that feed, it works in any podcast player. You just need to subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get access to it.
Nice. All right, let's get this thing going, guys. Real quick, hey guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up and sub button if you haven't done yet. Let's get into this. We've spent the first 10 minutes, shilling our crap out.
Midnight's Edge, Tom from Midnight's Edge is here, friend of the show. Good to see you, buddy.
Nice. Yeah.
He's gonna give us shit about our Masters of the Universe review. I just know it.
We should invite him on, because I think I'm outnumbered.
Hey Tom, do you want to come on? I'm gonna shoot you the invite link if you do. If not, no worries.
Talk
amongst yourselves while I handle this.
Okay. Danny.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe, Revelations.
Yeah.
It's not for me, bro.
It's
not for me.
It's not for everyone. I am a diehard He-Man fan, so I've got the entire 80s run right here, and then you can't see it, but I've got the one from 2000 or whatever next to it. I grew up on He-Man, being an 80s kid, and I know everybody got pissed about the part 1 of Revelation, but as somebody who'd watched pretty much every episode of the original series multiple times, I kind of knew exactly where they were going with it. And they did. When I finished watching part 2, I loved it, man. I mean, it was, I felt like this shit was made for me, and people who don't like it, hey, that's fine. You don't have to like a thing for me to like a thing. And
No, that's
you know, and we don't have to. I mean, I know we're the salty nerds, so you can throw all the salt on it, but we don't got to fight over it, man. You know, like I can like Star Wars and Star Trek, you know, and you can pick one.
No, you cannot. No.
Um,
I think my biggest problem, on top of all the stuff that everybody else is talking about, I mean, I don't like the art style. I don't like I don't like the masculinity of the female characters. They just they're too buff for me. I don't like.
Oh, so you hated Evil Lynn when she powered up? Huh?
Oh, I hated it. Absolutely. Hated it. I don't like the sexualization of the characters. I didn't like it when she got on the Skeleton.
Yeah,
that annoyed me.
There was some.
I didn't need.
How did she? That was so weird. Like kissing his teeth. It's like
It's like come here, Evil Lynn. Get on.
That was weird, but
I
don't know. I'm a fucking giant man child. I actually loved like all the talk leading up to that, but then when the kiss was like really uncomfortable looking. So
she also like straddles him, and there's
well, that was
shot of her butt where he grabs her waist and stuff.
See, I actually they had me that whole scene up until they showed the kiss. They should have just from behind, so I didn't have to see that weird. She's just kissing teeth, you know.
Yeah,
it would have been funny if she was just like licking the teeth.
Yeah, right.
But on top of all that stuff, I explained to you before, Danny. I think I'm just about 4 or 5 years too old to be able to enjoy He-Man from its original show, because it wasn't a thing for me.
Well, you're like 7, 8 years older than me, something like that. So
I didn't like He-Man back in the 80s when it was on.
Oh man, I watched it every morning.
I just thought it was like another one of the half-hour long toy commercials that all the cartoons were back then.
Right.
Transformers, G.I. Joes, He-Man. They were all plastic peddlers. That's all they did.
Damn, you just named 3 of the staples of my childhood, right there.
Yeah, I know. And none of them are really that good, bro. None of them.
God. Oh, my kidneys. Oh. No, I love Transformers, dude.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Yeah, my brother, Kid Crusher, he didn't like He-Man. I'm so happy he didn't like He-Man. He was more of a G.I. Joe guy. So we had G.I. Joe action figures everywhere that I like to just destroy. I pestered my brother so hard by breaking his G.I. Joe toys. I'm surprised he probably hasn't forgiven me to this day. I would wrap them in string and plastic and throw them up on the power lines so they just hang there, and then I'd shoot them down with my little raccoon 22 gun. It was hilarious. But anyway, they're just chilling plastic toys. That's what they did back in the 80s, and the stories weren't great. They were just, it was He-Man. Power Grayskull. I'm gonna go kick Beastman's ass this week.
To quote Queen Marlena,
whatever.
To quote Queen Marlena, I'm gonna say as if.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you like about this show? Give it to me, you guys. Let me hear it. I want to hear what's good about this thing.
All right, you want to go
Yeah, I'll go. So I liked the first 5 episodes. If you guys go check out our review on the Salty Nerd channel, I was kind of alone in my my hill there defending the show, because I didn't think it was as bad as everyone was making it out to be. And I gotta say, Danny, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but 8-year-old me would have lost his shit watching this series, because that final battle was pretty fucking epic. Like I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh my god, that's
right.
Really cool."
Right? No, like you're talking about the final episode where it's like,
yeah,
it looks like all your action figures are out on the floor.
And Ram Man showed up. He was like my favorite toy.
Dude, they did Fisto dirty. He shows up and then dies right away.
I want to fist that guy. It was pretty funny.
Well,
but
you see, it is written by Kevin Smith.
Yeah, that's the Kevin Smith humor I didn't think they needed in this show.
Yeah, I mean, like the humorous bits, like having Alicia Silverstone say "as if" and stuff like that, like little things like that. It kind of takes you out of the show, and overall, I felt like the show was pretty faithful to the original cartoon. And I like that we got He-Man back. There was a lot more He-Man in the second half of this than there was in the first. It is, of course, still Teela's story. It's her journey. And I liked how they kind of set up Evil Lynn as like her her bad guy, her antagonist.
Mhm.
Skeletor, he was kind of cool for the first couple episodes, and then he kind of devolved back into Skeletor. There's even a part where He-Man, He-Man's fighting Skeletor in the final episode, and He-Man specifically says, "This isn't about us," because Skeletor's like, He-Man and Skeletor fighting for all of time, and He-Man's just like, "It's not about us," and that's like kind of one of those meta moments where the writers are saying this isn't about He-Man and Skeletor anymore.
Yeah.
But I
Damn
like
you, He-Man!
Yeah, I liked everything I saw. It was a fun show. It was like a good throwback. I liked how they brought back Orko. Orko the White, very much Gandalfy. I liked the final showdown. I thought that the final confrontation with Evil Lyn, instead of being like a big punch fest, it was emotionally resonant. I liked the closure that Tila got with like her mom, and like we found out her origins, and we got like a lot of backstory into like the source of the power for the world.
Let me ask you this, Kate. So I'd always thought my whole life that like you weren't ever really supposed to know who Tila's biological father was, but they made it pretty clear it's Duncan. Like in this series, like Duncan and the sorceress hooked up, and he's not her adopted father, but apparently he's her real father.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that they just made that canon. And it was a fun, like I tried to put aside my writer brain while I was watching it and just enjoy it, because I grew up on these cartoons, and I had a really good time watching it. And the final image of the big cliffhanger where Motherboard comes down and kind of assimilates Skeletor, and then we see the symbol for Hordak, which is She-Ra's main bad guy. And so like they set up the fact that next time around, She-Ra is going to be playing a role in the Masters of the Universe. So another female-centric thing, but you know what?
I just don't know this universe enough to be able to.
So did you know Vader? Did you know that was Hordak, the little red thing above Motherboard? Like
no, I didn't even know who Motherboard was. It's just not.
Well, Motherboard's a new creation.
Yeah, Motherboard was introduced in the first half.
Yeah, I thought it was something that was in the old show, but
no.
Yeah, I don't know. It just the whole show didn't work for me. It felt very contrived, and I didn't like the style. And I mean, I'm not going to watch it multiple times to be able to quote on it a whole lot. I just can't speak on this series like I can on some other properties that I did grow up with watching, and it's hard. I understand, and I what the people that don't like
it
are
we're pissing about this guy off. Isn't your buddy Cadis?
Tom is very passionate about.
Yeah, Tom is very passionate about it.
Wait if we ever talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah. Speaking
I can't wait. I got just as much TMNT shit as I do.
Another plastic pushing 30-minute commercial.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I totally understand the criticisms of the show. I totally get where those people are coming from. Just for me personally, like, I liked it. I thought it was like it took you guys saying you were going to talk about it this morning to get me to watch it, because like
it was a quick
I didn't really care about finding out what happened, but I'm glad I did, because I enjoyed the final battle and the final confrontation. I liked how like Skeletor and He-Man had to team up briefly and stuff like that. Like it was fun. It was like a fun, silly like childhood thing where if I was a kid watching this, like I would have been like, just blown away by it. Like I just thought that final battle was like so freaking cool.
For me, watching this was like when I was a kid playing with because I had, Castle Grayskull, I had, Battle Cat, Panther, I had all the figures. I was very fortunate. And this show reminded me of like what I'd always wished I saw, like in the stuff I would I would play out with my figures and stuff. And
Oh,
and that's what I love.
getting Evil Lynn and putting her on top of Skeletor. And going, oh yeah, Evil Lynn. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, no, I do the voices and
It's like,
everything.
oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well, there's a lot more Mark
Get
Hamill
outta here.
in these back five.
Listen,
like,
all I did was close my eyes and I heard the Joker the entire time.
yeah.
It's
See,
just-
I don't like Mark Hamill's
I did
voice.
not like Mark Hamill. I thought there was a lot of misses with the voice acting in this.
Yeah, we talked about this when we had
did.
Mexican Iron Man on because
Yeah.
I was doing my Skeletor voice, and he was like, "You sound more like Skeletor," and I'm like, "Yeah." And it was kind of, annoying. But what I was going to say earlier is like, you guys know that scene in Spaceballs where Lord Helmet's playing with the dolls.
That's you.
Yeah, that was
Your
that.
helmet's so big.
Hey, and you know what? You know what this series is, right? It's Kevin Smith playing dolls with his action figures, but he just had it animated. That's what this is. It's like, oh yeah, hey, it's like no, it didn't work, and I think I don't think I'm alone on my hill here because I know.
No, it
Tom
seems like the
is-
chat
Tom,
is most
Tom
of the
is
chat is on your side.
popping a vein over there, and I know my
Yeah.
friends all have my back, but
Yes,
and
I
I
agree.
also
We
know
have
that I
used it.
believe that I don't believe this thing even cracked the top 10 on Netflix after they released it. It kind of came kind of slow and unannounced, and they put it out there because I think they knew they screwed everything up. And
Yeah, they should have dropped it all at once. I think it would have been a lot
and
less.
it
hate.
probably would have been. Kevin Smith went out there and f-bombed everybody and blamed everybody but himself for the failure that this thing is, and that's that. I don't think we're going to get a part 2. If we do, I'll be shocked. I hope we don't.
I bet we do. Like, I put a
But
friendly wager on it.
It is Netflix, so they'll spend money on anything anymore these days.
Well, the whole story behind it, because I watched Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond podcast, is the guy, the head guy at Netflix apparently is this huge lifetime long He-Man fan, and when you go into his office at the Netflix headquarters, apparently it's all of the original figures out of their packaging, set up and posed, and like this whole, and he's got his own Instagram account where all he does is like post like stop action, videos of his action figures, and always post it. So he's like a huge He-Man fan. So, and he's pretty much told Kevin Smith, I mean, this is what Kevin Smith said on his podcast, that like they're making these because it's more like for that dude, you know what I mean?
Well, what was weird was like they had 2 different He-Man cartoons going on, and they released the first half of this one, then they released the other He-Man cartoon, and then they released the back half of this one. And I was like, I totally didn't get the mentality behind that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it was a very strange decision.
And I think if you go look at the ratings for both shows, the other one, the CGI animated one, is actually pretty much liked, right? I think it's sitting in the 70s or something, where this thing is sitting in the 50s. Yeah, and somebody explained to me Pig Dude and the other dude.
It was Goat Boy.
I didn't get. Are those like just like these really rare figures?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
well, it was Goat Man and Pig Boy.
Yeah,
they figured out a way to basically put in like every single like toy figure.
No, Duncan even goes, man, we've really hit the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, that was great. I love seeing like all the like kind of like bizarre obscure He-Man figures just like show up in the show. Ram Man. Oh, when Ram Man came on, I fucking cheered. I was like,
oh, that's the one that they dropped out of the plane, right?
Yeah. And he was my favorite toy because like he didn't really move a lot, but like you could squish him down.
Yeah, and
then you hit a button, and his feet would pop out, and he'd go flying into other characters.
Yeah,
I had so much fun with that toy.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm glad Kevin Smith got to put his plastic toy fetishes in an animated show for you guys. That was nice of him to do that.
I do want to respond to one of Zach's comments I saw earlier asking, hold up, did they sell Cuckman figures or did you have to make your own? No, Zach, I was the cuck because I was doing all the watching.
Harsh, pretty harsh.
Yeah, clearly you guys.
I watch Midnight's Edge. I just don't happen to agree with you on this little thing.
I have to be completely honest here. I have not, so I'll be sure to check that out.
Everyone should be watching Midnight's Edge.
Everybody should be watching Midnight's Edge for sure.
Tom, as much shit as he gives me, he's a great guy, and I really respect his opinions on stuff.
Danny, they've even had me on the show
even when he's
times.
wrong. So
it's always weird, like the few times I've been on the show, because I'm used to talking in front of 12 people. You get on Midnight's Edge and you're talking to like 3,000, and I just go, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's
okay,
wild.
cool. I just, I think I found it's the same icon. So I just subscribed. I'll start checking it out. Yeah.
Plastic toy fetishes. That's right, Lunar Girl. That's right.
Also check out Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Yes.
That's their sister channel.
After Dark.
Tom is very passionate over there, and I appreciate it.
Which one? It says Tom on both of them, or more of the After Dark?
Yeah, Tom's on both.
Yeah.
Both, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom also does all the editing for the main channel. So like all the amazing video essays that they put out, like that's all Tom.
Cool.
I don't know how he has time to do anything, because like he edits more than I do, and I feel like everything, my entire day is spent editing stuff. So
Tom is Midnight Edge's Kadish.
Good morning, Manda. I was never a He-Man fan.
Broken Birds. Hi. All right, so you guys ready to move on? Are we done talking about this terrible show?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's not a very popular topic of discussion.
Yeah, I knew you guys would just like piss everybody off. Well, we should have done this part last.
No. You want to leave on a high note, Get the shit out of the way first, That's why I'm surprised you guys don't let me lead like with wrestling. Like Kadish could be in the background doing his little.
That's because we don't want all of our chat to leave right away.
Fair enough.
Yeah, then he'd roll in.
Pissing them all off.
He'd roll into cryptocurrency, and then he'd go over. So what's our next topic here? We got any chats we need to highlight or bring up?
Why don't we talk about some video game stuff?
Video games.
I did want to throw this out there though. If anybody in the chat wants to kind of help dictate whatever we talk about, all you got to do is throw in a super chat, and it'll totally change the conversation. Because we're whores like that. We'll take your money.
Before we move on from He-Man, someone wants to say something.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Oh whoa!
Well, I don't know shit about video games, so I'm gonna have to leave that. No, you happened to catch me while I was in the middle of cooking, so that's why I couldn't join you right away.
All right,
that's fine.
But no, I mean, Lord Almighty, this show. I'm not sure what you guys watched.
I don't know what they watched either, dude.
Man, I almost cried at the end when they teased Orko.
So did I, but not for the same goddamn reason. I'll tell you.
You mean Orko the White?
I threw shit. I almost threw shit at my brand new TV. I'll tell you right now.
This is so weird.
Okay, well, all right. Let's get into the second half. Do anybody care if I get into some spoilers real quick? I'll break this down. I actually broke it down with figures, but I was thinking on all the words that I used for that. There was a lot of 4-letter words in that video. But basically, like he can't make up his mind whether or not Adam is the conduit to power or the sword is. So you can't have both, and they messed that up right away. Duncan has never been Tila's father. He has only been an adopted father, and because it's always been insinuated that her father might be the same father that Evil Lynn has, which is the faceless one, and also this whole idea that Skeletor basically gets his power effed out of him by Evil Lynn, but yet he gave her all the power to begin with.
Well, hey,
isn't that how most relationships go?
I feel like you should let us because I either got to take notes because man, I have a response for every single thing you've said.
And then, well, just wait because I'm not done yet. And then after being told, let's just go over, like you guys have glossed over the fact that Tila has been a self-centered entire show. She's sitting there talking to her dead mother, and she's like, "Oh, I hate you," and crap, basically in so many words. Why did you do this to me? And she's like, "Well, I'm sorry, but this is your destiny, and you have to sacrifice everything." She's like, "No, that's not my truth. As long as I'm inclusive, I can do and go whatever I want and wherever I want." That is not how the Force works. Okay,
so I really do want to reply to that.
And Hordak is there, but She-Ra is never coming because they are two separate entities right now until 2023. Hence, the two never shall meet. Hordak is kind of like with the Avengers and Spider-Man, where there's certain characters that cross over. Yeah, there's a whole convoluted rights issue that's even worse than Star Trek.
Hordak.
You know what I found funny about this stuff is that when Evil Lynn assumes her champion form, she gets the Butch Dyke haircut. And when
She looked like a few
Tila,
people I know, I tell you.
when Tila ascends to her sorceress level, she gets the long flowing girly hair back.
Yeah,
I was like, "Ooh, Tila looks good for a change."
I know. Finally,
So,
she's
Danny, what did you want to say?
I should have taken notes. The one that sticks in my mind because it kind of you were talking about Tila and how her behavior was, and like yelling at her dead mom and being mad at her mom. You gotta understand, and I don't know anybody's personal backstory here, but as someone who's literally abandoned as a child and had to get emancipated and become a legal adult at 15, I actually really related to that because if I was Tila, I'd be fucking pissed too. I don't care who you are. You're supposed to be my parent. You're supposed to raise me, take care of me, be there for me, love me. And instead you abandon me for whatever. And it takes time to get over that shit. And it takes time to realize.
But was one of your parents the basically the sorceress of Castle Grayskull and the other one?
Hey man, my mom was a goddamn queen in my eyes when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I don't really think
I'm not going to
matters.
argue that point, but I mean, I think she'd be a little understanding under the circumstances. And that was the same thing in the first part where I'm like, she is so narcissistic. She even goes off yelling at Adam when he's dead. It's like,
well, I mean, you got to I actually get it. I thought it all worked because you don't. I'm not saying I agree with her. I'm just saying I understand the character, the motivation behind
it. Is not
character.
Tila. I'll tell you that right now. Tila would understand.
Tila, no, like because first of all, I think, especially the way they ended it. I said this in the stream we did with Mexican Iron Man is I always thought there was a sexual tension or underlying kind of feelings between Tila and Adam, like that they I really always felt that, and then so I feel like when Adam dies and she finds out that he'd been lying to her this whole time, she was devastated and heartbroken on many different levels, and then throughout the course of the series, by the end of part 2, when she finally accepts her destiny or fate or whatever, becomes the new sorceress. And there's that scene at the end at the palace where they're standing on the balcony and they kind of tease that again, at least from my perspective. So I don't know. I knew the whole time because when people were complaining when it was just part 1 that, they're making Tila the new He-Man. This is the Tila show. It's not the He-Man. So I'm like, nobody watched the original series. No, this is just it makes perfect sense for me for this to be the continuation of the 80s show.
But it's not.
I don't know. For me, I feel like, and we can agree to disagree. I thought it was the perfect continuation. I loved it. I was happy. I was happy with damn near every decision they made. Like my biggest issue with it, sadly, really is Mark Hamill's casting.
Well, I'll tell you what, butthurt fanboy, butt boy Kevin Smith was so upset by me that he had to block me on Twitter.
I know, right? That was pretty funny. That was crazy.
Because he's getting so many rave reviews for this that he's now turned to blocking people on Twitter.
Kevin Smith,
he's always
a sensitive man.
Well, no, he's always blocked people. I actually, gosh, a long time ago, if you look at my Twitter on who I follow, the very first Kevin Smith's the reason I got on Twitter, like probably 15 some odd years ago, and he was the first person I followed. And I used to listen to his Smodcast with Scott Mosier like religiously, so he's always been that way. In fact, he used to go kablock. I don't know if he still does that, but
I don't think Kevin Smith is the same dude he was.
No, he's
20
not.
Years ago.
Here's the thing. I'm not even upset that he.
Well, a heart attack will change.
Yeah.
I know like 5 or 6 people. I've got his email address. If I wanted to get a hold of him, I could probably get his phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really give a shit. I think it's hilarious because he just doesn't want to face the facts that he fucked up one of the coolest franchises ever by going after and doing what Ted Biaselli wanted to do with it. And I'll tell you, Ted may be a fan, but he's also a raging SJW. And if you know anything about him, this is why it happened. And he could throw that person under the bus and win back a lot of fans. But no, instead, he's sticking his fucking head in the sand and deciding that, I'm just going to decide that everybody loves this thing, even though it's not even hitting the top 10 now because you've turned away every fan. And I'm glad you liked it, man. That's fine. But like to me, that little thing that I just said, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many other issues with this because this could have been kick-ass. This could have been what fans wanted. And I don't know what you watched from back in the 80s because like half the stuff that you're insinuating is not here because they can't even use a lot of that stuff because of the legal issues. And then
watched
maybe you're
all of
remembering. I think you're remembering more stuff from the 2000 series because there was never any sexual tension between Tila and Adam in the original series at all.
Tom, I
People
love
Man, so
forget.
now I'm going to have to like get
People
episode
forget
references for you.
that
No,
it was
because I've watched all of these.
very aimed at kids, but it also had writers like
J. Michael
DC
Straczynski.
Fine
They were always
and
flirting and making like I mean,
Bruce-
sure, it was
Bruce
kitty
Timm.
puns, but there was always. There was always a lot of tongue-in-cheek dialogue between Tila and Adam. Now you're giving me homework. I'm like, I want this guy's info. I'm gonna email this guy along.
He's easy to find. He's easy to find.
Yeah,
Tom is all over the place.
I'm not worried about my credentials.
Hey,
So
man,
it's
I'm your average Joe. I'm
all right.
nobody,
So it's safe to say some people like it, but most of us don't. I think that's where I'm going to leave that at.
Kevin Smith, he started off his career as very red letter media where like he didn't give a shit and he was just going to do his own thing. And then I think around the time Jersey Girl flopped, he became a little bit more of a sellout. And ever since then, it's been hard to defend him and his choices.
Very true.
I did like his take on this stuff, but I totally understand all the criticism about it. So I guess I'm a fence sitter on this one. It's hard for
as
me
a
to,
lifelong Kevin Smith fan, I mean, I would love to just see him go look, because he's already said he's not a fan several times over. He got caught lying about that. He's got caught nothing but lying about this since day one. If he just come clean and be like, look, I really don't give a shit about He-Man. I've said it before. You guys are right. But I followed Ted Biaselli. He's the one who said that he knew everything, okay? So I'm sorry if you guys don't like it. Yell at him, not me.
Yeah.
But instead, he's taking the brunt of this. And then if you read his recent interview, he is literally sticking his head in the sand. Because it's like, okay, if you close yourself off from any criticism whatsoever, all you're going to hear is positivity, and you're never going to grow as a creator, right? Like, and it's not like Kevin Smith has ever grown leaps and bounds as a creator, but I have stuck up for him for years up until this point. This was my breaking point with him, because I was even stuck up through his shilliest moment.
You know, it's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, guys.
By critics.
Yeah.
By Rotten Tomatoes critics. That means nothing.
And that's why we need to get on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's exactly
so we can honest out those critic scores.
I agree with you.
You know, you guys are so funny. Like, you know, it's like if a score's bad, you say that. If the score's good, you say that. You know,
Rotten Tomatoes manipulates the numbers.
I never trust the ratings from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. They're always because it's like you can sit there and read a review and they're like, this is the worst representation of this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Worst movie I've seen all year, B-. And it's like, how is that a B- review?
Certified fresh.
Yeah, certified fresh. You know, like I think Eternals was kind of like the breaking point for everybody where they kind of noticed, at least I hope some of the normies noticed, like there's something definitely wrong here with this system. Like and every time a Disney movie comes out, they tweak the rules just so the Disney film doesn't get a Rotten Tomatoes score. Like this is the first time in history where they just couldn't fight against it because the critics were even just being too honest.
Also, isn't Rotten Tomatoes owned by Warner Media? So like they give all the Warner Brothers
it's
stuff.
Owned by actually more than just Warner. Like almost every one of the companies has some. Like I think Universal and a couple of the other ones have a little stake in it too. Plus, it's owned by Fandango, I think now.
Yeah. Real quick, Tom, we got a £2 super chat from Trots. Did you watch the Foundation show?
No, I'm aware of it, but very little.
I want to break in really quick because I know Danny just said that it's sitting at 90%, but that's the critic score. But look at the Danny. What does it say on the audience
score? 43.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's because
the one that matters.
I don't know, man. People are more inclined to bitch. So you know, Katie might be able to back me up on this because you know I do marketing, internet marketing, and that's one of the things I hate about Yelp. It's unless you incentivize people, it's hard. You know, it's a way easier to get negative because people will stand at the top of the hill and scream, you know, until they're blue in the face about a bad experience or when they're mad about something or don't like something. They're way less likely. They're half as less likely, if not more so, to talk about a good experience. That's why, like when you go to places, sometimes you'll see a little sign that says, "Hey, Yelp us out," or "Hey, check," you know, and they offer things like, "Hey, check in and get 5% off," or dumb shit like that. So,
I agree with you when it comes to food, but when it comes to entertainment, especially when we've seen certain things when it comes to Marvel or DC, like you will have fans on both sides come out. You know, they will attack and they will defend. So I mean, as far as the audience score, I'll usually go with like I'll compare it to like what Metacritic is saying on top of, you know, IMDb, and go a few other places that have like open areas to where people can vote, and just kind of do my best to kind of gauge from all those what the real feelings are. The thing you have a problem now with this second half of He-Man is really we have no idea how much the audience went away. So how much worse would it be? How much worse off would it be in that rating? I think it'd be closer to the first part of the season if as many people would had come back.
Yeah,
So,
it didn't even make the top 10, right?
I think the second half was better.
Some people did feel that, but like me, I personally feel like it was worse. Like for me, like the propaganda and all the lies that Kevin propagated early on were worse here. Like, I mean, you guys said that He-Man was in this less than he was in the original part.
Less, yes.
He literally did not show up until the end, like we all predicted.
Yep.
Well, you got Barbarian He-Man.
You got Barbarian.
I don't know. I hated that. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah, that was awful. That was so bad.
Because that's where I
did like that moment where he calls down the power without the sword. Well, I thought that was like kind of like a cool, like, oh, that's interesting.
Basically turned it into Hulk, version.
The problem you have is it the sword that's the conduit of power, or is it Adam? Because if that's the case, then the sword ain't worth dick to anybody else, and it shouldn't.
Well, the sword control. They explain that the sword controls and channels.
It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
The only reason and this is why I say this, because even if you go back to the original.
While his mic is not working, let's shout out Latino Slant. Polly is in the chat. Hey, Polly. As is my lovely bride, Jude.
Hello.
She's in there.
Why is my mic?
Hey, Jude.
Okay, you're working again, Tom.
Okay, I don't know what happened there, but like,
your anger was too overpowering.
Maybe
shorted out.
I was just gonna say, like, the thing is they're going by the old toy comic books, right? Like that's where they can take stuff from. They can't take stuff from Filmation. They can't take stuff from anywhere else. And in those original comics, all the sword is worth to Skeletor is getting into Castle Grayskull. Nobody else knows it's a power sword. Like, and it's only called the power sword because it's He-Man's sword that he uses to call upon the power of Grayskull wherever he's at. The sword itself, it only works for He-Man. Outside of that, all is useful for
whoever the champion is,
Well, or whoever, yes. But point being, when Skeletor just does it randomly, it shouldn't have worked because Sorceress should have been able to stop him. That's going by their own rules in this show. Like, because they say that, the Sorceress is the conduit to the power, which is true. Okay, fine. But then they're contradicting that when, the Sorceress should have been able to stop it. It doesn't make any sense.
All right. He-Man, guys. Masters of the Universe.
I didn't mean to derail the show. And
No.
I hate meeting Dork Knight like this because we've never met before. So he's like, this guy's an asshole.
You guys would get along swimmingly. You guys would.
I mean, first of all, I don't take this shit half as seriously apparently as you do. It's all entertainment, man. It's in good fun. And you don't like, it's not like we're talking about real history here. You know what I mean? So like, they're going to retcon some shit and shade. I don't know. My whole thing is if I feel good at the end of it, I'm happy. If I was entertained, I'm good. And I get it. I get everybody's issues that they have, but for me, Klingon lives matter. Nice. For me, I enjoyed it thoroughly. So we can agree to disagree. It's all good. And maybe it's because I'm predisposed to. I'm a huge Kevin Smith mark. I actually had a heart attack before he did. So I made it cool before he did. But I used to get compared to him a lot back when I was a larger gentleman. And
you're both fans of the Wacky Tobacco.
Yeah. So. I've even sat through yoga hosers.
So did I. And I even stuck up for it in some instances.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think Vader's right, Tom. We'd probably get along just fine. So
Tom's gonna come to Vegas someday and hang out.
One of these days again.
So yeah.
My biggest thing was
where you at,
Tom? I'm way up in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
But like, Kevin was just one of those guys, like he's one of the reasons I'm here. Right. Like, and that's what really kind of hit hard for me. And then, as he said, never meet your heroes when he was talking about Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Hey, you know
think-
what? This is a great segue to Hawkeye because the first episode's called "Never Meet Your Heroes."
You know what? I actually didn't hate Hawkeye, so
I
know
liked
what?
it a lot. I like Hawkeye a lot.
But
let's talk about Hawkeye.
I'm not
I haven't watched it yet.
with it, so.
So Matt, I'm gonna direct this over to you. Let's change gears and let's go to Hawkeye right now.
All right. Well, so Hawkeye is the new Disney Plus Marvel TV show starring Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, so it debuted with 2 episodes. They're both half-hour episodes, as you do with Marvel TV shows. And the third one just dropped this last Friday. I've gotten to see all 3. And you guys know my history with Jeremy Renner, where like I made a movie with him. I know him personally. He's like a super cool dude.
Weren't these closer to like 40 minutes though?
They might have been. I wasn't.
I was gonna say I thought they were a little longer.
But I'm a huge Jeremy Renner shill. Anything he's in, like Lord of Mayor of Kingstown or like whatever. Like I'm all for Jeremy Renner. So I'm going to be biased about this. I've been really enjoying this series. A lot of people say that he's been kind of pushed out of his own show by like the young girl sidekick. I don't feel like that at all. I feel like they've got like a good mentor-mentee relationship going on there. She's kind of brash, young, and inexperienced, and he's like this kind of jaded, older like superhero. And it's kind of funny looking at how he looks at like the marketing of his character, and he's just like so like bitter about it, and like his hearing is all fucked up now, and so he has to wear like hearing aids, and he still feels guilty for Natasha's death and like his time as Ronin, and everything about this show has just been very entertaining to me. I think it's got like a good mystery at its center. They've kind of hinted that Kingpin is the big bad, which I'm like super excited about. Because I think they're going to be bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio for that.
Really?
Oh yeah, no. Well,
Yeah.
dude, if you look at the hand and you hear the laugh, that sounded like Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah,
Well,
really
it's
did.
been all but confirmed at this point.
Yeah.
from a lot of the same people we've been hearing stuff too. Yeah,
I had
Yeah.
no idea that that was what was going on. I might have to check it out.
pretty
Dude,
much the only one who's not coming back from what we heard of is what's his face who played
Iron Fist. Yeah. So I love this show. I mean, it hits every note perfectly for me. In the 3rd episode, it was my favorite one so far because it's the first episode where Hawkeye gets to be Hawkeye, where he's got his bow and arrows. And I love the comedy where like he can't hear. And it's like the chick Kate just cannot seem to grasp the concept that he can't hear her. So she keeps talking to him as if he can hear. And I love how like she'll say one thing and he'll say the same thing. And or he'll interrupt her saying the same thing, or like the scene on the train or the subway or whatever.
One of my favorite parts of the show was when they asked him like, when did you like lose your hearing? And it cuts to like all the times he's been in explosions. And he's like, I don't really know. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it's like too much to get into.
Oh, that opening scene where he's like seeing Rogers the musical on Broadway. That killed me. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I like how they did that too, because it shows like how someone with PTSD would probably respond to that, because, he's there and he has the guilt of, like he didn't want Natasha to die. He wanted to kind of repent for his sins as Ronin, and he wanted to die.
And one of the cool things about this show is it feels like a Shane Black script almost. Like it's set during Christmas.
Yeah.
It's got these kind of goofy tracksuit mafia guys in it.
Yeah.
The interaction between Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, I think it works really well. I've been very much entertained by it. I want to address this thing by Zach's. As a friend of Renner, aren't you feeling bad that they're replacing him to avoid paying him? I don't feel like they're replacing him. I think he might be like ready to kind of like move on to other stuff, which is why he's wanting to pass the torch. But
this also follows the comic, because Kate Bishop becomes Hawkeye in the comics. This whole series so far has been very, very close to the Matt Fraction run, which my buddy Burke over at nerdfarmblog.com reviewed back, many years ago when it came out. He doesn't write anymore, so it's like, but his reviews are still up on the site, and they're good. So if you're ever interested, if you don't want to take the time to read the comics, you can go read some of his reviews. But the artwork, the whole intros and outros, opening credits and ending credits, all of that artwork is basically lifted right out of the comic. The logo of the show.
When did that comic come out though?
I think in 2012, I think something like that.
Okay. I just figured because I actually don't hate the show, but I know some of the gripes people have with the show, and I see some of them to a point, but I'm not like totally seeing all of them. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not as familiar.
2015. Sorry, it came out in 2015.
Yeah, that was even worse than I thought.
So
Okay.
was that kind of like around the era that they started doing the whole SJW Marvel crap, right?
That's my point. This just
get it out there.
Saying that's how they did the comics is not a way of saying.
Well, I don't.
Unfortunately,
I don't see that. Like, because trust me, I bitch and complain a lot about woke shit all the time, and especially when they put it in my shows.
Marvel is woke,
but
there's nothing woker than Marvel and
DC
but
I don't feel like this show or the comic.
I agree that this show is not as woke as some of the other stuff, but my point is anything that they've done post or whatever Disney sale, you can't really say that, oh, that's how it was in the comic, because anything past that point is them just basically doing stuff so they can make shows and movies off of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'll say this, like in terms of my enjoyment of the Marvel shows, like Hawkeye is definitely number one at the moment.
I agree.
Followed by Loki, then
Okay.
WandaVision, and at the bottom of the barrel is Falcon Winter Soldier. Like,
See, I haven't watched that.
This show is so much better than Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh, I would actually agree with that. And
but
the cool thing is the budget, like that's a good comparison is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because they try to do this Shane Black kind of vibe with the buddy comedy, or whatever. And then the first episode looks like a movie. They spend like a fortune with that opening sequence. Whereas in this show, I mean, I'm not saying like it's Marvel low budget, so it's not like, low. When I say low budget, you know what I mean. But I think that they're doing more with less, certainly with Hawkeye.
Well, I'll say that in this most recent episode where they had the chase scene, and
I loved the chase scene,
and
that's straight from the comic as well. I want to talk about that.
And Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, when they're like shooting those arrows, that was really cool. Like I liked how like she was like she blows up a car with an explosive arrow, and she's like, "How dangerous are those other 3 arrows that you told me?"
She's like, "There are 4 more arrows more dangerous than that."
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I keep sounding like I hated it. I went in with the lowest of expectations. I got 1 episode into Loki, and I watched obviously I edited Andre's review, so I know how it ended. So that was enough for me. I got halfway through WandaVision and quit. But I know how that ended, and I didn't watch Falcon and Winter Soldier at all.
That's the thing, Tom. I haven't even started watching this show yet, because the other stuff that Disney Plus has put out in the MCU hasn't been that great, and some of it's just been bad, and I just haven't had a desire. They haven't hooked me.
Wow. That's probably why
I want to watch the show.
That's why I think the viewing was down 40% from Loki.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I enjoyed the show. I did quite a bit.
Yeah.
So far, I'm only 3 episodes in. Like, my whole point up front was that I don't know enough, but now that I know that's from 2015, that's not even a comparison at this point.
I mean,
I'm just gonna grade it on its own merits. Yeah.
All 3 of you guys have said that you have reasons to like this show, so I'm probably going to take some time and start watching this show so we can talk about it. But
I also love Renner's performance. Like, this is the most time we've ever gotten to spend with Hawkeye. Especially like he's reverted back to Clint Barton from Ronin, which was last time we saw him in Endgame, and it's just kind of cool to see him like, he wants to retire, he wants to be with his family, and he keeps getting pulled back into the superhero stuff. And he has a great line about like, how he's kind of like old school and archaic. And he's like, I use a stick with a string to fight bad guys. What do you want from me? He's very self-aware, but Renner's performance just adds so much to the character. And it's a joy to get to see him play this character in kind of like a more central way than we've seen from.
And his range is great too. I love that scene in the kitchen where he can't hear because his hearing aid's been broken, and so Kate's got to write down what his son's saying on the pad because he can't hear him on the phone. And then when he gets off the phone, the look on his face. He's knocking it out of the park. This is definitely so far my favorite of the Marvel series. Now, it doesn't sound like I hated them as much as you guys. I actually love WandaVision. I'm contemplating getting.
WandaVision was a huge disappointment for us.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, but I, as someone who's been, through a lot of grief, what is grief if not love persevering? I love that line. Like I that, you know, so I'm skewing more toward, obviously I guess I like these more than you guys did. I didn't much care for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, I like some things, but it's my least favorite of them all. But so far, with only 3 episodes in, this is by far my favorite one. And like the LARPing scene is hilarious. He just like he's walking through like he can't be bothered. He's just like.
well, when the dude with the outfit, he's like, "You gotta let me kill you," and he's just like, "Oh, come on."
He's like, "I fought Thanos."
All right, get it over with.
Yeah. He literally says, "I fought Thanos," and this is how I go down.
Yeah. No, it's great. But what I wanted to say was so for people who haven't read the comic, Natasha Romanoff is still, alive in the comics. So that Challenger, this was kind of an Easter egg. So remember, like when they are escaping the tracksuit mafia, and Kate's like, "Hey, let's take this car," and he's like, "What are you kidding? I'm not smashing up a '72 Challenger." That's because that's the car Natasha drove in the comics, and then that's why later when that thing happens, he's like, the Challenger gets smashed anyway.
Yeah, I figured I didn't know about that, but that's a scene like my cousin will enjoy because he's one of those that always cringes when that happens in movies, and I have to remind him that 9 times out of 10, it's usually a secondary stunt vehicle they do that to. Not every time, but a lot of times.
Yeah.
But no, like this series, it constantly has places where it could go off the rails, and I really seriously could probably have more issues with it if it wasn't for Haley. What is it, Stallwell or whatever her name is? Steinfeld or Stein, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, Steinfeld.
Like the Bumblebee lady. If it wasn't for the Bumblebee lady. I mean, because she's constantly instead of like tearing down Clint, she's constantly talking about how great he is and all this kind of stuff. Now
how inspiring he is.
Yeah, and like him, I'm not like, I wish he was a little bit less humble and a little bit more Hawkeye in some bits. Because like Matt, I agree, this is the most we've got to see from him. We're finally getting to see a little bit more of his family. He's always kind of been that side character. I like how they're kind of playing that up a little bit. Like he even has the line where he's like, "Look, I tried to be a ghost, right? Like I didn't try to get noticed." You
even notice in Rogers the musical ads.
He really says that he's not a role model, and he's like, "Never have I been a role model for anyone." And then like at the beginning of the show, we see the invasion of New York, and we see Kate Bishop get saved by Hawkeye, even though he didn't know that he saved her. But like she's up there watching him like with a bow and arrow, like shooting all these aliens, and that inspired her to become an archer and want to become like a superhero and all this stuff. And so like when he's saying like, "I'm not a role model, like I've never been a role model to anyone," like he's literally telling that to the person he's the role model for.
Right.
It's really an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. And I like that, all that stuff. I mean, with her, she is a little Mary Sue. I mean, yes, she's had a lot of training. She hasn't had a lot of experience, and she's way lucky for having no experience a lot of the time. Up until she teams up with Clint, because up to that point, you're just like, yeah, she's taking on guys that are way too big. So this is a common issue in the Marvel universe.
I don't know if I agree, because she's a Mary Sue. They established that she started, winning, martial arts trophies at 5.
I get it. There's some there, but she's had no experience where she's ever been attacked before. Like they should have had her fumbling a little bit more at first, and they kind of played it up more in the trailer than they did in the show, where she was like always talking herself up and fumbling a little bit. Like they cut it in the trailer like she was, but in the actual show, I don't recall any points where she really fails or fumbles too much. She's still really full of herself and all that kind of business, which is fine. I have no problem with her having the confidence, but as a character that even if she has all that training, fine, but she's had zero experience at this point where somebody's tried killing her and stuff like that.
So in this most but in this most recent episode, there's that scene where Hawkeye had to give her the pep talk when they're tied to the little thingies, and he's like, "Hey, now's not the time to be scared. That overconfidence."
That's the most we've seen of it. Yeah.
So
well, also like an interesting part to this show is there's a central mystery going on here about Kate Bishop's stepfather. And there's like a murder that happened, and I'm down for it. I'm like, this is interesting.
Oh, I think he did it. I think
they telegraphed it a little too much.
I'm breaking in here because I haven't talked. Hawkeye. does he have a superpower, or is he just don't miss?
No.
He's just don't miss.
So
Hawkeye's whole thing,
I don't
at least
really
in the comics, is he's a marksman. So like anything he can use as a weapon, and he always hits his target no matter what he's aiming at. So that's kind of his superpower. He's just highly skilled.
Okay, see, that's never made sense to me.
He has a particular set
Well,
of
that's the
skills.
best part about this show, I will say, is
yeah.
that this show shows that since he isn't like the other guys, unlike Natasha, which is I think they should have done more like this with her, it shows he's been damaged, right? He doesn't he's not completely healthy. I mean, I don't think he walks with like a limp, but you can tell he's been beat up. He's deaf. He's definitely showing his age. He's definitely showing that he's been damaged quite a bit from all this stuff over the years.
And also he's carrying a lot of emotional baggage of what he did as he was Ronin. And the whole kind of catalyst for this show is that Kate Bishop gets her hands on the original Ronin costume, and she puts it on to start fighting crime. And the news picks it up, and so he has to basically come out of retirement. He puts his family on a plane back home so that he can go off and chase this girl, because he's afraid that whoever's wearing the Ronin costume is going to get themselves killed, and he wants to get that back and kind of bury the persona of Ronin once and for all, because he feels guilty for all the murder he committed while
he's going to die because of that, isn't he, Dork Knight? That's how it happens in the comics, ain't it?
Danny, you're muted.
Thank you. I feel like I do feel like he is possibly going to die by the not in the first season, but in Renner's already kind of said, I read in an interview, like, this isn't something, he's not trying to do that, be Hawkeye for another 10 years. Like,
doesn't Hawkeye go become the leader of the West Coast Avengers?
I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, but they're really setting up more of the Young Avengers.
I was going to say, like, Matt will tell you from a writer's standpoint, you don't put somebody in the position where he's been Ronin like he is, and then he lives, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that happens to a character where they're like, unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good he is, he's going to die because that's a sin.
Yeah,
that's just a storytelling thing.
Yeah, but I love this show. I've seen the 3 episodes probably 3 or 4 times already. Because if I'm working on like some graphics or stuff like something where I don't have to think about what write, as long as I'm not writing, I'll have something on the TV. As long as it's something I've seen before, so I don't just end up not working. All
right, so TV. I think you guys have convinced me. I probably need to go start watching.
It looks like Paulie is convinced too in the chat as well.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Yeah, we'll have to have Paulie on the show.
I think Paulie was half convinced when I told him about that chase scene, because I'm like, that's the scene that really stood out to me. And it wasn't just because of the trick arrow thing. That was fun, but that wasn't even it. It was how the scene was shot and how good it looked.
Dude,
show.
Oh my God.
It was in a 360 shot from the
back
seat in one shot. Well, it's all mostly computer and probably done on a green screen, but the way they did it, it looks so good.
Yeah, it was that was my take.
Point. They made it look like all one take, all 360, a couple times around.
I almost wondered if they had a swivel 360 camera mounted.
They probably did. It was probably on a green screen or whatever, but still, it was composited really well. I watched it in 4K and it looked really good. It didn't, show any to me, stuff like that sticks out like a sore thumb. Like I can tell if something's been composited or something CGI. Like I could tell some of the crashes were enhanced by CGI, but some of those crashes were done obviously as stunts. So there was some good stunt work here too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the Charger was definitely CGI. I think so. I'm pretty
Challenger.
Sure. Yeah, it looked pretty CGI when it got crashed. It was
hits the one wall there, and it's just like, oh man.
All right.
So he wrecks her comic, by the way. Thanks.
Transitioning. That means we're moving to a different topic. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were making an announcement there, Matt.
No. So
that's why you should. That Matt's your dead name. I'm sorry.
No, my dead name. Yeah, that's funny. So I don't know. Kadish is very when he gets in producer mode, he's very strict about our 90-minute time limit. So
I'm here. I'm throwing that all off.
No, it's fine.
No.
If we go,
I'll
we go
talk
long
all damn day. I was on.
So, who's watching? Is anybody watching besides me? Wheel of Time.
But before we get to why don't we hit up the video game thing real quick?
Oh, you want to talk about the video game thing?
Yeah.
Are you playing Dragon Champions, Matthew?
I am playing Dragon Champions. Are you
I
playing
am
Dragon
too.
Champions, Vader?
I am as well. This is very true. Dragon Champions on my phone from Play Quantum, right?
Yeah. So, Danny, Tom, have you ever heard of Dragon Champions?
No, tell me all about it.
So it is a free to play mobile game. It's free to download, and what it is it's a hero collector's game set in a World of Warcraft like fantasy world. It's really cool. I've been playing it since launch. I play it literally every day. I grab my phone and I call it up, and I basically just I'm very OCD, and in these types of games, what you do is you play to unlock different characters, and then you upgrade them and you max them out, and you use them to fight against either other players or in PvE situations. And it's so much fun. Like the way that Dragon Champions kind of presents its challenges, it's almost like a chess game where you got to unlock the right characters and build the right teams and upgrade them to a certain level in order to counter like other stuff, so you can get better rewards, so you can unlock better characters and all this other stuff. It's so much fun. I really like it. And they're actually the makers of this game. So the background of it is that they were like 5 dudes in Russia who built this game in their garage, right? And they put it out there. And around the time they put it out there, the Star Wars Hero Collector game, Star Wars Galaxy of Champions, really pissed off their player base. And so all these players were leaving Star Wars in protest, and they went to this game, which is pretty much...
It's very similar.
It's a very similar game. And so it created this really kind of like hardcore community of Hero Collector players. And I got in around that time. It's about going back 2 years ago. And ever since, I've been playing ever since then. And it's a fantastic game. We have a great time. And they've decided to sponsor the podcast. So basically, if you sign up through our link, you can download and use the coupon code SALTY, SALTY, in game to get some free swag to help get you going.
Free swag
in game to help upgrade your starter heroes, and it's a lot of fun. Zach says like Raid Shadow Legends. It's kind of in that same vein. It's not quite as commercial as Raid Shadow Legends, but it's a lot of fun. And
I'm sold. Where can I get it?
Yeah, well, you can get it on the iTunes or on the Apple App Store or the Android store. Just search for Dragon Champions. But if you go to our link, saltynerd.com/DC,
and use the term salty.
Yeah, and use the coupon code SALTY. Once you're in game, you'll get a lot of free stuff, and we get credit for it. And so like that money goes towards the show. And Vader has been playing it recently, and he's kind of gotten into it.
I play it every day, and this was before we got our little affiliate link for it. So it's interesting. It's fun. It kills a little bit of time every day. I'm not into these games as much as Matthew is. Doesn't Jude like threaten like your life on a daily basis because you play like these games all the time?
She's like, get the hell off your phone. You're ruining our relationship. I want a divorce.
Can't you just talk to women like a normal man?
Yeah.
No, I can't do it. But what's great about this game is it's truly casual. So it's like if you're waiting in line or something like that, you can pull it out. Like you don't need to be. It's not like an action game where you need to be engaged with it. It's kind of something that you can set and forget, and kind of like just do it as your day goes on. If you're bored or if you have some downtime, it's really cool.
It is actually really fun, guys, and thanks for putting up with our little bit of our shilling time.
The name of the game was again.
Dragon Champions.
Dragon
right. saltynerd.com/DC, the letters DC. So if you're interested in checking it out, use that link.
And I promise in the future we're going to actually talk about video games at some point and not just do a commercial for our new affiliate. But today, who's watching Wheel of Time? Are you watching Wheel of Time, Matthew?
I watch Wheel of Fortune.
I'm watching Wheel of Time, definitely. I read the books many years ago and was looking forward to the show.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking forward to the show.
Yeah. All right. I'm watching it, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. After I watched the last episode kind of took me out of it a little bit for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But I have some questions as a complete newbie to this universe that I kind of wanted to run by you and see what you have to say. Tom, are you watching this show at all?
No, it's
No.
I've never read the books or had any desire to, but I've been
Okay.
hearing about it.
Yeah. So okay, that's cool. I know there's probably some people in chat. So this is another one of those shows that people are going to probably love or hate, depending on if they're book readers or not. I am not a book reader. It is kind of scratching my that fantasy itch that there's not a lot out there to scratch it with right now. It's got magic and demons and is there, I don't know if there's other stuff in here, but I think there was like an ogre or something that was introduced in the last episode. It was really weird, but I do have some questions, Matt, and I hope you can like maybe break it down for me. The El Sedai, they're this group of women. Aes Sedai, they're a group of women that kind of like rule, right? Or are they like master wizards, or what are they? And I know they're like they all have their color coded, and each color means something else.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of like break that down for me and just tell me what's going on there? Because I'm not really sure if I get it.
Yeah, so the thing about the Wheel of Time is that it's got like a really rich kind of world history to it. And the whole magic system that the books have is based on something called the One Source, which is like this pool of power that people who, it's almost like Star Wars, or like if you're attuned to it, you can use it to channel and do magic stuff. And there's a male and a female version of it. You kind of think of it like one of those Japanese black and white symbols, yin yang symbols. So there's like a male and a female side to the One Source. And for a long time, men and women could channel and use the magic and stuff like that until the Dark One came along. And the Dark One tainted the male side of the One Source. And so any man who uses magic becomes corrupted by it. And he eventually goes insane, goes mad. And they create male magic users basically create lots of death and destruction and have been responsible for some of the worst disasters the world has ever seen. And so basically at this point, the Aes Sedai that used to be male and female wizards essentially is now exclusively female, because women are the only ones who can actually tap into the One Source and use the magic without becoming corrupted by it. And so there's a whole sect of the Aes Sedai whose job is to seek out male channelers, men who can tap into the One Source. And it's called gentle them, which basically means that they cut them off from the One Source without having to physically kill them, even though cutting them off from the One Source eventually leads to them dying in some way, shape, or form. So the idea behind the show is that there's this male channeler called the Dragon. And the Dragon was the only one who could stand up to the Dark One and take him down, basically. And in the last age, the Dark One tricked the Dragon into going crazy. And the Dragon basically broke the world using his power. And he ended up killing himself doing it. And so in this next age, it's prophesized that the Dragon will be reborn. And people are afraid that when this happens, he's going to break the world again and basically kill everything. And so there are some people that want to find him and train him and kind of like fix the male part of the One Power. And then there are people who think he's too dangerous, so they want to find his reincarnated self and kill him before he has a chance of doing real damage. And then you have the Dark One, who's like kind of like Sauron, in this world. And he's the one who wants to manipulate him in order to in the world so that he can break the Wheel of Time and just cause chaos and destruction. And
hey guys, what I miss?
And so nothing, Danny. And so basically you have all these kind of like political people and you got this group of kids that could possibly be the Dragon Reborn. You don't quite know who it is just yet. And that's part of the central mystery of the first season of the show. And that's basically so the Aes Sedai, they don't rule the world, but they're like a powerful sect of magic users that heavily influence the world and its politics.
So what's Danny? There's something different about you.
Yeah, did you change your glasses?
No, I de-aged about 20 years.
I can't quite I can't quite put my finger on it what it is. But.
Yeah, I think he's wearing a salty nerd shirt. So
yeah, which you can get at saltynerdstore.com. I almost did it again. Sorry, Salty Nerd Store.
It's blue. It's weird. I've never seen a blue one before.
I love it. I like the blue and red.
Yeah.
Not that it's tainted. Yeah. So I saw the first 2 episodes, and I didn't care to continue. I was bored. What was your guys' take? Did I miss that, or did you already say it?
No, I'm asking Matt some questions about the show that I need answered. So we'll get back to that though. Matt, can you explain to me the difference in the colors that the
I mean they're basically their uniforms based off of like the different disciplines that the Aes Sedai do. I think green is kind of like military. Red is they're kind of in charge of security. Blue is like the spies or the diplomats. I don't really remember too much from the books. They haven't really explained it very well in the show. I know yellow is like healers, but like any Aes Sedai can like do different stuff with their magic. But they're kind of like relegated to certain tasks depending on the sect that they go into.
Okay, and I'm not going to like sugarcoat this. I feel like all the men in this show are complete simps. I really do. I really do. I don't know quite what to say about that other than it kind of takes me out of the show, especially after episode 4 that I watched last night. Are they that way on purpose? I mean, how did Robert Jordan write this? I mean, were they that weak? And I mean, I know they're not weak, but they're just really passive when it comes to the women. And I'm not going to lie, it kind of annoys me a little bit. So,
well, you may be talking about the warders. So the warders are basically the protectors of the Aes Sedai. They're like their bodyguards, and a warder is specifically kind of bonded to their Aes Sedai, and so they're, they feel what the Aes Sedai feels, and like they have like a psychic connection and all this other stuff. So essentially, the warders are kind of, a little bit beta to the female Aes Sedai.
Okay.
But the other male characters, like in this world, it's Robert Jordan based his world very closely off of the Viking, like the original kind of Viking society, and that was kind of the same thing that Tolkien based his off of. So it's very similar. It is a bit of a patriarchal world. You see that a little bit with the White Cloaks, where it's all men, and their job is to basically keep the Aes Sedai in check. And hunt down witches and stuff like that. And then you have the male pretenders of the dragon, the guys who pretend to be the dragon reborn, who can channel stuff, and they're slowly going mad through the use of magic. And you can see that they, the Aes Sedai are basically trying to keep the patriarchy down a little bit. But the whole thing about like there are kings and lords and stuff like that in this world.
Okay.
And there are badass societies that are run by men. It just so happens that the warders we see, who are like super warriors, they're kind of just, they live to serve the Aes Sedai. And so like that might be what you're picking up on.
Okay. And one other question before, who are the dudes in the white outfits, the guy that was like torturing people, and they're hunting Aes Sedai ladies, right?
Yeah, they're called the White Cloaks, and they're kind of like this religious organization that kind of stands to check the Aes Sedai. So the Aes Sedai, they're kind of like Jedi Knights in the prequel era, where like there aren't a whole lot of them.
Oh, that's a really good analogy. I hadn't thought about that.
Like there's not a whole lot of Aes Sedai, but the ones that they do have are very powerful, and so they go out and they do different stuff. And the White Cloaks are just normal dudes, right? So like, there's more of them than there are of the Aes Sedai. But one Aes Sedai is worth like 100 men type thing. So, and the White Cloaks are basically just a religious organization that don't trust the Aes Sedai. And they don't trust magic users in general. Even men who are able to channel magic, they don't like them. And so like their goal is to basically, they're kind of like the Knights Templar, I guess you'd say. So they're just out there to regulate and keep things peaceful
and torture and beat up gypsies. That's nice. Okay,
yeah.
That's good. All right. Those are the questions I had about the show. So, Danny, you're not watching it, or you are?
Well, I watched the first 2 episodes, and should I keep watching? It just seems so boring. I'm not entertained.
That was my problem with the books. Like, I didn't find the books were all that good. I only read the first one, and it was a long time ago. And I read them right after I finished the Game of Thrones books. And the Game of Thrones books were just so much better written. So I didn't enjoy the Wheel of Time books all that much. I always found the books were just kind of meh. I felt like they were a bit childish. Mm-hmm. And with the show, I'm kind of with Danny on it. Like, so far, like, episode 3 has been what was really good.
Oh, what? So should I give it a shot, or is there better?
Well, I was just gonna say I just watched episode 4, and episode 4 was boring as hell too. So 3 out of 4 episodes have been pretty boring for me. Yeah. But like, I don't hate it. Like, I wouldn't say it's a bad show. There is a little bit of SJW-ness going on in there. Mm-hmm. They made a weird change where basically they said that a man or a woman can be the dragon reborn. And that's not in the books. The whole thing about the dragon being reborn is that he's always a man. And that's what makes it dangerous. If the dragon were reborn as a woman, he'd have control, or she would have control over the magic. She wouldn't go insane using it. And so she's not a threat. And so this idea that, I understand why they did it. They want to make you think that, like, oh, either a woman, like one of the female characters that we're focusing on, could be the dragon reborn. But that's not a thing in the books. In fact, it's very lore breaking. Like it doesn't make any sense why they would make that change, other than to be like a little bit more inclusive. So that's one of the things that bothers me about the show. But overall, it's a pretty good adaptation so far. Like, I don't have any problems with it. But then again, I'm not a book purist on this one.
Boring book makes boring show. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call the books boring. I just didn't think they were very good.
All right.
So Trotz asks, is it true to the book? It's pretty, I'd say it's like 80-90% there. Like, they have made some changes, but it's nothing that I think breaks it.
Trotz was the one that gave us the super chat. We should circle back so we don't make a liar out of me and talk a little bit about Foundation, unless you did live.
Foundation, here, I'll talk about Foundation. Foundation, if you want to hear us talk about every single episode of Foundation, you can go to saltynerdclub.com and hear like our hour-long spoiler reviews of every single episode.
Yeah, every episode.
We did 10 hours on that show.
Yes, we did. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's a very good show.
Tom, did you watch Foundation?
I think he said he didn't earlier.
There he is. You're muted, Tom.
No, I don't have time for that. Sorry.
I don't got time for that shit.
I got time for that shit.
Actually, I liked Foundation quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
as a non-book reader, I really enjoyed the Foundation, but Jude hated it as a book reader, and I haven't seen a schism like this between book readers and non-book readers in quite a while. Probably since what's this? I'm losing it. I'm getting tired already. Shit. The season 8 that was terrible.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I remember all the there was some hate between the books and the show people on that one too, or at least I think the problem with that was people spoiling things. It's like, oh, you don't even know what's coming. Well, shut up about it. We don't want to know. The whole red wedding thing and everything. I remember my brother was tormenting me with that and everything. So yeah, but no, Foundation is it's good. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 2, but yeah, nothing like the books. In fact, the parts, my understanding is the parts that I liked about being the stuff with the Empire, with the 3,
not in the books at all,
or not in the books at all.
Yeah.
So I find that very strange, but
yeah,
I mean, they took a lot of liberties with this. It's not a straight adaptation. I mean, like they do use the books, they use elements of the books for its main story, but I'd say like the books account for maybe 20-30% of what's in the show. Everything else is completely new and made up.
Oh, and to piggyback off, I don't remember who in the chat said it, but in addition to going to saltynerdclub.com, you can go to saltynerddiscord.com, and you can there's a chat room specifically for Foundation where people talk about it more as well.
This is true. This is true. Oh man, I'm out of topics, guys.
Are we?
Yeah.
Already?
Matt, you want to take us home?
Well, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in today. It's been a while since we did the home gang because, life stuff, and we're going to be taking the last couple of weeks of December off, so we'll maybe have one more home gang before we go on break. But we will still be producing content on the Salty Nerd YouTube channel, and the Salty Nerd podcast will be published. We got a lot of great interviews coming out. David Hewlett, holy shit. We had a great interview with David Hewlett. He ended up staying on the line with us for like 4.5 hours. He guested on our main show. He was the coolest guy in the world, Dr. Rodney McKay from Stargate. So we got a lot of like really cool interviews coming out. People with the production of C, Norseman interviews. We interviewed Kerry Conradi, who plays Orm. We got all that stuff coming out at the end of the year, so stay tuned for that stuff. And we're going to be doing some interesting things for our club members starting in January. First of all, we are doing different legacy kind of sci-fi shows instead of just doing one series like we did with Foundation. Vader, what are we doing in January?
We are going to be doing
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who in January. Yeah, we're going to be we had our sugar daddy backyard TARDIS. super Doctor Who fan. We talked to him, and we're going to be doing 4 Tenet Doctor Who episodes, correct?
Doctor Who episode. Yeah.
And I'm actually really looking forward to that because I've watched 2 episodes of Doctor Who my entire life. It is not something I've ever had a chance to watch or really been inclined to, but I'm looking forward to us getting into this a little bit and dabbling into some of these older shows that we haven't watched. So I know some of it's going to be new for at least one of us on the table at all times. So that's going to be fun and interesting to dive into. And I also think in January, we're going to be starting a weekly show for House of Dragons, right? On HBO.
The new Game of Thrones show. Yeah, that'll be our Wednesday TV show.
Yep.
Instead of Invasion, which will be blissfully over by then.
Oh, boy, that's a bad show.
Yeah. Oof. Trot says SG1 boys come on. It's on the docket. We will eventually be doing SG1. I guarantee it.
For sure.
Yeah, I never. I'm Doctor Who boat. I mean, my second act loves it. I know a lot of people that love it. I lose a lot of nerd cred when I tell they're seeing it.
Broken Bird Tennant is my doctor too. He's the guy I start off with. I love him. I think he's the best doctor. So it should be good.
There's Jude.
All right. So we're doing that for the members area. It's a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff planned for 2022. It's going to be exciting. And I just want to remind everyone that if you want to help support the show and you want to get some cool swag, we're doing a December only offer where you get a limited edition hat with the Salty Nerd leather patch on it. It's a really cool hat. We have a version of it that we wear, just the hosts. And anytime you sign up for the $30 tier at saltynerdclub.com, you get you're going to be getting a this hat and a superstar certificate and also some kind of fun perks, but only for December and only the first 50 people to join. After that, we're cutting it off. And but we guarantee that you'll like these hats if you like some cool swag, and you get all the benefits of being a superstar. Like Vader, we give them access to our outtakes. We give them Q&As. We're going to be featuring them on our website. There's all types of really great perks that you get as a superstar in addition to a really.
We have a very fun Patreon community and Discord community. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, guys. Why don't you tell everyone where we can find you, Danny, the Dork Knight? Share your socials with the people.
Yeah, I'm only on Twitter, which is this way. Forget it. Dork Knight LV, or on the Discord. I'm actually pretty much mostly on Discord now. So.
All right, Tom, where can people find out more about you? If you're still there.
Well, I'm sure I have a long record with the police department. And, no, you can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark, of course, and all those fun places.
And Vader, where can they find you?
I just want to say really quick, a big thank you to Tom for popping on today. That was not planned. It was just
no problem.
And I'm always happy when you pop in and give our
Glad I could
show
bring the grumpy.
you give our show a little more nerd cred when
a little bit more salt too.
Yes, that's for sure.
Both.
So check out Midnight's Edge, everybody. If you don't know, I don't think anybody in our chat doesn't know who Midnight's Edge is, but that's cool. You can find me at Matt Vader 74 on all the socials, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and on our Discord at saltynerddiscord.com. Open invitation to anybody. All you have to be is a nerd. Come check it out.
Yeah. And also go check out our newest sponsor, Dragon Champions, at saltynerd.com/DC. saltynerd.com/DC. You download the game, it's free to play. And if you use the promo code SALTY, when you get into the game, you'll get some free stuff to help you get going. And it's a really fun game. I've been playing it for a long time. Anyway, guys, this is Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. It was great seeing you all for yet another Saturday Home Gang. Thank you to our chat, and thank you all to who dropped the super chats. I think we only had one from Trots. Trots, you're the man. Thank you so much. And be sure to catch us next Saturday where we do yet another Home Gang. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we will catch you next time. Stay salty, my friend.